criticizing people who have just started hijab or they don't wear proper hijab. Who do you wear hijab from? Right? Who do you cover from? So these are the people that you do not have to wear hijab from. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Today, inshallah, we're going to be talking about a few mistakes or shortcomings we have when it comes to hijab. So first, let's quickly talk about what hijab is. When I'm talking about hijab, I'm not talking about the face covering. The face covering is called niqab. And if you guys want details on niqab and, about why people wear it and why I wear it and what my take on it is, I have an entire video about my niqab journey, which you guys can see on my channel. But today, inshallah, we're going to be talking about hijab. Now, what is hijab? So hijab basically means to cover, but when we refer to hijab, it means covering the parts of the body that are required from every school of thought. So there's no difference in opinion about, covering the hair, covering the neck, right? So covering yourself from head to toe, except for hands and face. Hands, feet, and face. Now, there are some scholars that say to cover the feet, but majority say that you don't have to. So again, in order to make things easier, what is hijab? Hijab is basically covering oneself from head to toe, except for the hands, the feet, and the face, right? Now, this is something that everybody agrees upon. There is no difference of opinion on this. So what are some of the mistakes or sometimes things we do wrong in just wearing hijab? The very first thing is, who do you wear hijab from, right? Who do you cover from? So covering, your entire body except hands, feet, and face is important from any man who is a non-mahram man. Now, a non-mahram man is basically, the easiest definition is that you are actually allowed to marry them. A mahram man is somebody who is related to you by blood. And, marrying that person, marrying that male family member is haram. So what are some mahrams? Mahrams is father, right? Father, your real brother, then your half-brother, your son, your nephew, your grandfather, your dad's brothers or half-brothers, your mom's brothers or half-brothers, and then any male who was breastfed by the same woman that you were also breastfed from before the age of 2, right? So, and I'm sorry if I missed any, but these are basically the mahrams that normally are in our lives. And of course, the husband is a mahram. If you guys have any questions about mahrams, please feel free to ask in the comments. So these are the people that you do not have to wear hijab from. Besides these family members, everybody else we have to wear hijab from. So cousins are not mahram. And this is, in some, cultures and communities, I hear a lot, cousins are brothers and he's like my brother. And no, a cousin is just like any other guy who is not related to you and is not a mahram. So it's important to cover from cousins. It's also important to cover from brother-in-laws. When I say brother-in-laws, I mean sister's husband, and I mean the husband's brother, right? So all types of brother-in-laws. The father-in-law is actually a mahram. And a fun fact is that even after a woman gets a divorce, or unfortunately her husband passes away, the father-in-law remains a mahram for life, right? But the brother-in-laws are not mahram. So when we say to do hijab, one of the first mistakes we make is we only do hijab from men who are completely not related to us, right? So the women that do hijab, they'll wear hijab when they go to the store outside. They'll wear hijab to, the park. But when cousins come over, when family friends come over, when the in-laws are over, they will not wear hijab, right? So that's the very first mistake, that hijab is for every non-mahram. Now, the second mistake that we sometimes make is how we wear our hijab, right? So in some cultures, just wearing like clothes, like proper clothes, and then a dupatta on the shoulder, so their hair won't be covered, right? They'll be just wearing like a scarf on the shoulder, or they will be wearing that, scarf on their head, but half of their head is showing, or it's see-through and, your hair is showing, or your neck is showing, your sleeves are half or your sleeves are necked, right? So it's like you are covered, but you're not covered. And that's actually a very, trending thing in a lot of cultures where it's like you're wearing decent clothing, but then your hair and neck and your arms are showing. That is also not proper hijab. So even when we have family gatherings and when we have, cousins over or we're visiting cousins, a hijab should look like you can wear very nice clothes. You can wear it up if you don't want to wear abaya, you do not have to wear abaya, right? But you can wear really nice clothes and just make sure that the skin is basically covered and the hair is properly covered with like no strand showing and 1/4 of your head is not showing, etc. Now, this takes me to my third mistake. And I know I just basically said covering our skin, right? But how do we cover our skin? So the objective of the hijab is not just covering the skin, right? Or covering the hair. There's actually a deeper purpose in hijab, and that is to be modest, to have haya. And, something like regardless of what we really want to do ourselves, I think we can all accept the fact that wearing clothes that are stuck to our bodies, that show the shape of our body, that's basically not modest, right? Now, I'm not saying that, if somebody does that, like they're a bad person. No, I mean, of course, there's a journey towards modesty, but we can all accept that if something is too tight that it shows the shape of your body, it basically defies the purpose of a hijab. So even if you're covered from head to toe, but your chest is, defined and your your thighs are defined, and your waist is defined, that basically is not the purpose of hijab, right? So that's the third mistake, that hijab doesn't just mean to cover something. Hijab means to cover something in a way where it's modest, right? So that was the third one. The fourth one is criticizing people who have just started hijab or they don't wear proper hijab. So this is also something to keep in mind. Yes, Prophet ﷺ said that, ad-din al-nasiha, that the main part of Islam is advising others, right? So yes, advising others and encouraging others and giving, good advice to others. That's not just the job of a scholar. That's for every Muslim who knows his or her religion or has learned his or her religion, right? But that does not mean that if somebody in our family or our friend circle is not wearing proper hijab, we look at them in a certain kind of way. We demean them. We think that they're not righteous enough. We don't let our kids, that's the worst one actually, not letting our kids hang around with them because we think that they're going to be a bad influence. When it comes to, and we can make a whole video about this, but when it comes to the influence on kids, you can have your children surrounded by the best and the righteous of people, but if their foundation is not strong from home, they're going to get influenced some way or the other. So our foundation for our children has to be strong, right? Keeping them away from our friends and family members who are, we call them not religious enough, that's not going to solve the problem. And, that's not piety, that's not taqwa. And this is actually a major problem. And if you guys go through that, please let me know in the comments, because in our communities, we have different cliques and groups, right? Where it's like a certain group is, mashallah, full-time hijabi. Then you got a certain group that are full-time niqabi. Now the niqabis don't like the hijabis and, they're not hanging out with them and they don't think they're good enough. And that just takes the entire purpose of following our religion away. So that's the fourth mistake. If you wear hijab, alhamdulillah. If you wear niqab, alhamdulillah. If you're struggling with it, make dua, inshallah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for you. But pointing our fingers to somebody who's not wearing hijab is really not going to solve their issue with hijab, right? And then the same thing also goes for non-hijabis, like thinking that, the niqabis or the hijabis are so uptight without even getting to know them. That's not a solution to have a sisterhood or community either. So that's the fourth mistake, that, we're not judges. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate judge. So distancing ourselves from certain people or not thinking good about them doesn't really help anybody in the situation, right? And then the last one, right, is the fifth one is when we expect our children, our daughters to wear hijabs, but we don't model it ourselves, right? Now, this is when I'm talking about the mom. And this is actually a question that I get from a lot of fathers. And unfortunately, sometimes when I get this question, like, Sister Maryam, I'm trying to get my daughter to wear hijab, but she won't. I have to ask the father, do the women in her life wear hijab? Does her mom wear a hijab? And if the answer is no, I really can't, like, I cannot help, or nobody can help and nobody can guide unless the mother herself. And I'm not trying to call out the mothers over here, but if you're a mother who doesn't wear a hijab, or you are a father who's watching this video and your wife does not wear a hijab, and then you're expecting her daughter to wear it, it's not going to be that easy unless that child gets that enlightenment all of a sudden by herself. And that happens a lot, actually. We get a lot of middle schoolers and high schoolers whose moms do not wear a hijab, but mashallah, the girls are wearing hijab because they want to wear it themselves. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But there are families where the father really wants the daughter to wear hijab. It's not going to work until you can at least, have a conversation with her mother, and you guys can talk about being role models for the daughter, right? So that's the fifth one, that if we are not going to wear it, if we're not going to do it ourselves, we cannot expect our kids to do more than what we are doing. I'm hoping, inshallah, this video was helpful. These were just 5 concerns that actually came about recently in my comment section, and also people asked these questions, so I wanted to just address them in the form of a video. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I hope you guys find the video helpful. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.